And welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. And once again, thanks to FC Dallas goalkeeper Chris Seitz for joining us just before we took the commercial break. Really appreciate Chris joining us. As we said, his wife and him are expecting a child very soon. And so we really appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule. Good luck to him and FC Dallas the rest of the way. But right now, joining us live from Minnesota, Canadian Hall of Famer and all-around good guy, Alex Bunbury. Alex, welcome.
Anthony, thanks for having me, my man. It's always enjoy being on your show.
Always my pleasure to have a world-class player and a great guy off the field. Alex, let's get right into it. It is a slam dunk for me in Minnesota coming into MLS. This is a great sports city, but I want you to let our listeners out there know what type of grassroots youth soccer city this really is. Tell us.
Well, thank you for a great question. We're in the Midwest, obviously, and when you think of the Midwest, you don't normally think of soccer being a prominent sport here, but it is. At the youth level, there's over 70,000 kids registered in soccer here in the state. So at the grassroots level, we have an unbelievable youth development program in the state. So for anyone who doubts that this place is tailor-made for MLS, they just have to look at that alone, and they will see how greatly occupied and followed this sport is here in this state. It's tremendous.
Alex, when we think of Minnesota, we think of teams from the past. I'll never forget the Minnesota Kicks back in the old NESL coming up here to Toronto to play. But I also think of the times I've spent with my sons there to a couple tournaments that are world-class, in my opinion, well-attended and also well-run. If I'm not mistaken, one was called the Schwann's Cup and the other USA Cup. But this is a hotbed for youth tournaments, and also a lot of great talent comes out of this state. Talk about it.
Yeah, we have one of the biggest international tournament in the world up in Blaine, and this has been going on for decades here in the state of Minnesota. So we have that. We have some of the most talented players and coaches from this region, the likes of Tony Sana, who played for the Minnesota Thunder Academy back in the day, along with Manny Lagos, who's the current coach of the Minnesota United FC. You have Buzz Lagos, who was the architect of all of the youth soccer in this state in many ways. You have Alan Merrick, who coached the Kicks and the Minnesota Strikers in the old MISL that I played in. You have my son, Theo Bunbury, who grew up here in the state of Minnesota and is currently playing for the New York Revolution. And the list goes on. There's so many talented young players. Eric Miller, that's playing in Montreal. So we have a lot of talent in terms of players, and we have a lot of talent in terms of coaches and people who've been heavily involved in the game here.
Now, you don't hear it very often, especially when a new sports franchise comes into a city, but the city is on board. The city officials are on board. Youth clubs are on board from what I'm reading. You're on board. Is there anyone that's not on board, Alex?
No, not that I can think of. I think everybody, once the news broke, and it's been in the works for a long period of time, it was just a matter of which ownership would get the bid. The football, the Vikings ownership group put forth a bid for an MLS franchise as well. And that was really the contention here. But I think the having the group that wants to build the soccer-specific stadium in downtown Minneapolis area, I think that was a big attraction for the MLS. And I think it's a great ownership group, and everybody's excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to do a lot for the game here, and it's going to do a lot for the community, because what soccer does, it brings everyone together. It's the world sport, and it brings different communities together. It brings diversity into the forefront, and I think it's only going to make this state a bigger, brighter place to live.
And I'm glad you said that, Alex, because still up here in Canada, there's a lot of politics, a lot of problems between youth clubs and academies. By listening to you, it seems like everyone is singing off the same hymn sheet and everyone going to do what's right for this franchise to be successful and not critique it. And I think that's fantastic.
Oh, for sure. And Anthony, you and I have been around for a long time. We know you'll always have people that'll be critical of anything that's worth it, right? But here, in general, it's been such a positive influence from politicians all the way down to city, the people. It's just been fantastic. I don't think we could have asked for a better launch of an MLS franchise because so many people are behind it. But I'm always conscious of the fact that you'll always have people, you'll always have haters, as they say. And I think that in general we have a great situation here, and I think it's only going to be fantastic, and it's only going to enhance soccer in a way that we all want it to be enhanced.
Now, has Dr. Bill McGuire and his group talked to you or others and said, hey, we want to be in the community 24/7. We want to make sure this is a family team. We want to make sure that clubs, academies, everyone is a part of this success story?
I think that's the word that's going around, and I always deal with honesty. We have a good thing going with my program that I'm linked with Minnesota. We have our Minnesota group here that we do our thing with here, and unfortunately at the moment I think what their number one priority was getting the bid and focusing on that. But you well know if you do not include what we have here, the Twin Stars and other clubs, then you're not going to go anywhere. So I think they're putting together a plan, and they're going to come to each and every one of these clubs, and they're going to get us involved in trying to make them get to the level that we know they can go to. And they will not be successful until and unless they involve the youth level, all of the communities that are heavily involved in the game here at the youth level.
Alex, a smart move by MLS in putting in another team in the Midwest because Chicago and KC really needed another team. Minnesota fills that. But I would go even one step further and start thinking about St. Louis because I think that would be key as well. And there you have it, 4 Midwest important cities, St. Louis, Chicago, and Minnesota, and Kansas City. I think that is important for the success of the Midwest and of MLS. Your thoughts?
I think you're hitting it right on the head. And we all know how St. Louis has been a big part of soccer for so many years here in America. And I think if you have those 4 states represented, those 4 locations represented, it will be absolutely superb for the development of the league. And, one can only hope and pray that will be the case. That would be the case, that the people that are making the decisions in terms of putting this league in a situation where you have those rivalries, especially here in the Midwest, I think and I hope that they're thinking along the same way we are thinking about that and how it makes so much sense. So much sense.
Alex, just before we let you go, we really appreciate your time. We saw Orlando City signing Kaká as they entered the league. David Villa with New York City FC up here. Toronto has Jovinko. Beckham was back then with the LA Galaxy. On and on. Do you think it is important, vital, that Minnesota signs a quality DP? Or do you think that the fans there are smart enough, savvy enough to understand the league, that they can get by with homegrown talent, U.S., Canadian talent to win themselves a championship? Your thoughts?
I think that people are well aware of the fact that we can do it with homegrown talent. And I think that's the way we have to look at it. It doesn't hurt to have a marquee player. Someone can bring attention to what you're trying to do, but it has to be the right person. And if you're going to do that, you have to do your due diligence and make sure you bring in the right person, not just a face, but someone that can really elevate the level of play and the players that he's surrounded with. But I think in general, we are very conscious of the fact that we have a lot of talent here in the state of Minnesota, and we have a lot of talent here in America, and we have a lot of talent in Canada. And we should be rooting for those kids and those players to get those positions as well.
Alex, great having you on again. Listen, give your best to your son for me. But before we let you go, we have a lot of listeners up here in Canada and in North America as well. I want them to go to your website. Is there some way, somehow, they can help? Because if I'm not mistaken, a little while back, there was a special project you were doing, and a lot of people asked me how they could help. Is there any way they can still help you out?
Yeah, they just need to go to our website. It's called Bunbury. Bunbury.com, and it's on the Facebook website. If they go to that website, they'll be able to get on there and see all the things that we're trying to do for developing at-risk kids here in the state of Minnesota. We want to spread it all across the nation and in Canada, of course, where I'm from. And you know, just check it out. We're doing a lot of good things. We want to make sure that we're linking up with some companies in Canada, actually, to provide uniforms for these kids and things of that nature. Campio is one of them that we're working with. We're also working with a software company called TSI in Montreal that are putting these good software into the clubs to give information out. So we're doing some good things. So check us out.
You're a Hall of Famer, not only on the field when you play, but now off the field. Keep up the great work there in Minnesota. God bless you. And again, congratulations to Minnesota, my friend.
Thanks, Anthony. God bless you and all the fans in Canada.